Welcome to our series, Moving America Forward. Each week we'll be focusing on America's entrepreneurs as they take us to new roads, new opportunities, new ways to fill the gaps left by today's failing companies. Our series will be looking at that and a lot more. So come with me and watch as the entrepreneurs of our nation move into the future.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our studios in Los Angeles with our guest today, who happens to be the president of a company called Secured Benefits Group, which is headquartered in the Philadelphia area. I'd like you to meet him right now. His name is Stuart Grizzle. Again, he's the president of the company. Stuart, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Doug.
You deal in healthcare insurance, which is certainly a hot topic today in the news and everywhere. It's something a lot of us are talking about, and we're doing a lot of it. So, before we get into it in depth, let me just point out a little while ago you had a chance to answer some questions from William Shatner about what your company does. Let's take a quick look at that, see how it went, and then we'll continue. Okay? All right, let's watch.
You are certainly in an interesting business, but take a moment to describe to me exactly what you do and who you do it for and how it helps move America forward.
Well, Mr. Shatner, the American public is underinsured. Over 50% of all bankruptcies in the United States are medical related. What we do is work with people all over the country, educate them, and ensure their policies will cover them when they get sick. And that, Mr. Shatner, is how we are helping to move America forward.
Well, that's very interesting indeed. Let me ask you something. What are some of the typical kinds of problems that people come to you and discuss with you about when it comes to dealing with health care insurance these days? I'm sure they have a lot of problems.
It's a very big question these days, and the big problem most people have is they don't fully understand the scope of the way their health insurance works. They're not familiar with the costs that they are actually going to face if they have to use it for something major. Co-pays, deductibles add up very quickly, and if you use your health insurance for something major, you could very well be missing work, and health insurance doesn't cover that.
So it's very expensive. There are high deductibles. They obviously sometimes think insurance covers everything, but it doesn't, right?
That's correct.
And they need guidance. And then there, of course, is this whole issue about Obamacare, which is now looming large over the whole health insurance field, which may make major changes, you know, ongoing for quite a while. So that's one of the reasons I have a lot of questions, right?
Absolutely. With Obamacare, they will often go to a website where they're directed to choose one of 5 different options, and it'll explain that out of the 5 options you would be responsible for maybe over 50% of the bill, 60% of the bill, or you know, the insurance would cover up to 70, 80, and then the most expensive plan is 90. A lot of Americans can't afford the plan that covers the most.
It's really expensive.
So what we try to do is help our customers understand how the products work and help them understand if they had to use it, what their exposure would be. Something that we like to introduce to people is some supplemental health plans like critical illness. What that policy will do is step in and kind of bridge the gap between what their health insurance doesn't cover and the income possibly that they've been losing while getting health care treatment.
Now, these people, for the most part, already have some form of health care insurance. Is that right? Or are they coming to you to get it from the very beginning?
Sometimes they do. Very often they do not. Typically they have health insurance if they work for a larger company that provides it. Right. A lot of times if it's a smaller company or they're an individual, they may not have it at all. The nice thing about a critical illness plan, it doesn't matter whether or not they have health insurance or not. It pays directly to them. So it's great if you have health insurance, and it can kind of help bridge the gap. If you don't have health insurance, you're still going to have a bill at the end, but you're just going to have to pay for all of it instead of part of it.
So the fact that they are instituting Obamacare is not really going to affect it's not going to put you guys out of business.
No, not at all.
A lot of people have thought that, you know.
Yeah, it makes it harder for some people to afford health care. So
right.
if people can't afford it, then they don't purchase it, essentially. And then if they don't purchase it, of course, then, you know, how do we stay in business? But I state, you know, with that, I can help people with supplemental plans that are maybe more affordable to them. They cost a lot less than health care. I can help them control their health care costs by picking the right plan that fits their budget. And then on top of that, if a critical illness plan is the answer, I'll go that direction. Sometimes it's something that's geared more towards an accident plan or DI plan. That might be the answer to help them contain their costs.
And what's a DI plan? What's that mean?
Disability income.
Okay, all right. Well, I think people understand what that means. All right, let's talk about the critical illness policies. Number one, I was not really aware they were even available. You don't hear a lot about them. I'm not quite sure why that is, but in any event, explain to me how they work and what are they geared to cover?
It's a really interesting plan. It was actually created by a doctor several decades ago, but the whole concept is that they protect you from major health conditions like cancer, heart attack, stroke. There are companies that can cover many more conditions like that, like up to 21 conditions. One of the carriers I use very frequently will cover. But the whole concept is that it leaves a lump sum directly to the policyholder in the event that they're just diagnosed with one of those conditions.
So this is not the kind of insurance policy where you get a bill and you submit that bill to be reimbursed for coverage. It's not that at all.
Yeah,
this is something, if you have a critical insurance policy, let's say covers cancer, and cancer is one of them, heart attack, cancer, and what was the other one?
Stroke.
Stroke. If you develop a stroke or you develop cancer, this insurance policy pays off at that point. Is that right?
That's correct. Not only does it, you know, what I will normally guide most people to do is to look for an amount that you would be left that probably equates to about 6 months worth of income. And what's really nice about that is that's usually going to cover co-pays, deductibles, and any missed wages that you or your spouse may have had.
Right.
What's also nice is that a lot of the insurance companies, there's many of them, there's over 1,400 life and health carriers. And the very inventive front-running carriers are doing some pretty creative stuff where they're adding those type of benefits, critical illness and even long-term care, into their life policies. So what a person can do is they can look at a policy that maybe they already own and just look to enhance it with more living benefits. And it usually doesn't cost any more, sometimes even less than an existing policy they have. And I can help people identify when that could be a policy that they can use.
Now give me an idea of the cost of one of these critical care policies. You pointed out to me they're not that terribly expensive.
They're really not. You know, of course, the younger you are, the cheaper it is.
Sure.
You can get it up to age 85, but the average policy is easily less than $100. Even $50, $60 will cover most people probably in their 40s to 50s.
And what kind of amount of money would that policy pay off if you came down with, you had a stroke or came down with cancer?
Maybe somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000, which would be paid to you in a lump sum.
Okay.
If you purchased it with after-tax
Can you buy
dollars,
you buy the amount you want? Can you buy 100,000 or more?
You can. It is based off of your income in some situations. We have companies that will issue up to $500,000 of critical illness.
Okay.
So that will cover most people pretty well.
That, of course, would cost a lot more than $50 a month, I would think.
It absolutely would.
Yeah.
You could get it down to $10,000 if that's all you need.
And is it hard to qualify for those?
You know, that's a really good question. I work now with a couple of different carriers that offer that policy, and the ones that cover more conditions are a little harder to qualify for.
So you have to have a medical exam?
But some of the carriers I work with, you know, they're very easy to qualify for. As long as you haven't had cancer, heart attack, or stroke in the past 5 years, you could qualify.
And there are other policies to cover other situations.
You got
Alzheimer's, for example.
There is.
You mentioned a number of other kinds of illnesses that there are policies. What you have to be careful is don't buy the wrong policy. Don't buy one for a stroke and then come down with Alzheimer's because it won't pay off, right?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to get an umbrella, something that will cover many conditions, as many as you can qualify for.
Yeah. And what about long-term care insurance? You just referred to that. That's not terribly cheap, you know. Again, it depends on how old you are when you acquire it. But who are the typical candidates for this kind of insurance?
Usually someone between 50 and 60 who is looking to preserve their estate should they need to go into a long-term care facility. It can be a little pricey, but at the same time, going into a long-term care facility is expensive. The typical facility these days costs $200 a day, so $6,000 a month.
Right.
You can very quickly burn through your nest egg if you're not prepared for this. But another nice thing about long-term care is it does, I work with some carriers that actually will allow you to access your death benefit and life insurance towards a long-term care need. It's a very inventive policy, and it's a great way to really cover all your bases with a single policy.
You have recommended that people have their policies evaluated and re-examine them because there are different situations. In other words, you're in favor of changing a policy if it's to your advantage.
Absolutely. There are a number of different reasons why. One, a better policy comes out. Right. And so that you can apply for that and have better benefits. Another good reason just to review your policy is that mortality charts change all the time. People are living longer, so rates will often go down. I recommend for most people to look at their policy at least, if they have a 20-year policy, like a 20-year term or something longer, at least every 5 years. If they have a shorter policy, then less than that, a 10-year term, maybe every 2 to 3 years, just to make sure they've got the best option.
That's very good advice. You should pay attention to. You've been in this business a long time, Ina. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I have been in the industry for 17 years.
Yeah.
And my company is rather interesting in that we're a small company, but it's also very family-oriented. I work with my wife, who is our operations manager. My sister works at the company, and so does my mother-in-law. She's an agent who works in Washington State. But for the most part, we are we're a group that works with about 100 brokers that I work with to understand these concepts and bring it to the public. And we represent a lot of different insurance companies to make sure that we've got the best option for them.
And your clients, do they have to be in the Philadelphia area? I mean, you're
not at all. We're based in Greater Philadelphia, and we are really well represented in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. But we work with brokers all over the country who might contact me to get familiar with a new policy that comes out. I will get them trained on the product and ready to go wherever they might be located.
You know, I would think that this situation of getting critical illness policies is going to become much more talked about and more popular with the advent of Obamacare as it takes effect, don't you think?
Absolutely. As people start to understand, I think what the website is doing a good job of is getting people to understand the limitations of their policy. And once a person uses a policy for something big, that's when they have their big moment where they really get to understand.
Pretty fascinating indeed. Stuart Grizzle, thank you very much, Stuart. Very interesting to say the least.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation that it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it's my honor to present this prestigious award to Stuart Grizzle, the president of the Secured Benefits Group of the Philadelphia area, for the outstanding work his firm is doing to help keep moving America forward. Stuart, it's a pleasure to give this to you.
Thank you very much. I really want to thank my staff and my associates for helping make this possible. This is a fantastic award, and I'm very honored to receive it.
Well, you richly deserve it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
That's it for another edition of Moving America Forward. I'm Bert Tenzer. Join us again as we continue to bring you the entrepreneurs who move America forward.
I'm William Shatner, and for all of us at Moving America Forward, thanks for watching.